Calisthenics. Christ is in our midst. Today on Sunday, December 17th, we commemorate St. Daniel the Prophet and Ananias, Azarias, and Misail, the three holy youths, as well as St. Dionysius, the wonder-worker of Zakynthos. Regarding the prophet Daniel, the three holy youths, Ananias, Azarias, and Misail. The prophet Daniel and the three children were all descended from the royal tribe of Judah. In the year 599 before Christ, in the reign of Joachim, who was also called Jeconias, while yet children, these righteous ones were led away as captives into Babylon, together with the other Jews by Nebuchadnezzar. He singled them out from among the other captives to serve him, and renamed them thus. Daniel was named Balthazar, Ananias Shadrach, Misail Meshach, and Azarias Abednego. Now this is important, and we've seen this within, for example, documentaries such as the series Roots, that names have power. When you rob someone of their name, of their identity, this is crippling, this is horrible. The name that you are known by God is the most important name of all names. And so their true names of Daniel, Ananias, Azarias, and Misail are their true names. They're God-given names. And these are the names by which we know them. I find it very sad when I hear people call them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when the reality is those are their slave names. Those are not the names that are their given names. Likewise, when we go to receive communion, we are saying our baptismal name, the name that we are known by God. I've never quite understood why sometimes we have our earth name and then our heavenly name, considering that our heavenly name is the name by which God knows us. It is the name we were baptized. It is the name which we receive communion. It is the name by which we will be known throughout all of the rest of our lives. And by rest of our lives, I mean within paradise. They were reared in the royal court and taught the wisdom of the Chaldeans, and after the passage of 3 years they surpassed all the Chaldean sages. Therefore Daniel, being still a lad, interpreted the mysterious image seen by Nebuchadnezzar in a dream, an image that was composed of different metals, but was shattered and ground to dust by a certain stone which had been hewn out of a mountain without the hand of man. This vision clearly portrayed to the mountain the height of the Virgin's holiness and the power of the Holy Spirit which overshadowed her. Through the image of the stone Christ was portrayed, who was seedlessly born of her, and who by his coming as the God-man would shatter and destroy all the kingdoms of the world, which were portrayed through the image, and he would raise them that believed in him in his heavenly kingdom, in which is his eternal everlasting. Thereupon he signified in prophecy the time of his appearance in the Jordan, the beginning of his preaching of the gospel, the time of his saving passion, and the cessation of the worship according to the Mosaic law. And this Daniel did to exactitude. He portrayed most excellently the majestic and dread image of his second coming, presenting by means of words as with living colors the fiery throne which shall be set, the eternal judge who shall sit therein, the rivers of fire that shall flow forth from him, the calling to account before him the impartial judgment seat, the opening of books of each one's deeds, thousands upon thousands of them that minister to him, and to the tens of thousands of them that stand in his presence. Daniel, whose name means God is judge, was called man of desires by the angels that appeared, because he courageously disdained every desire of the body, even the very bread that is necessary for nourishment. Furthermore, he received this name because, in his longing for the freedom of those of his tribe, and his desire to know their future condition, he ceased not supplicating God, fasting and bending the knee 3 times a day. Because of this prayer, he was cast into the den of lions, after he had been accused by his enemies as a transgressor of the decree issued through the proclamation of the king, that no one should worship or ask of anything from God or from men for 30 days, but only from the king. But having stopped the mouths of the lions by divine might, and appearing among them as though he were a shepherd of sheep, Daniel showed the impious might of the godliness. He showed the impious the might of the godliness. As for the 3 children, Ananias means Yah is gracious, Misail means who is what God is, and Azarias, Yah is keeper. Since they refused to offer adoration to Nebuchadnezzar's image, they were cast into the furnace of fire. They were preserved unharmed amidst the flames. Even their hair was untouched by the descent of the angel of the Lord, that is the Son of God, Christ himself, walking about in the furnace as though in the midst of dew. They sang the universal hymn of praise to God, which is found in the 7th and 8th odes of the Holy Psalter, and coming forth from there without even the smell of fire on their clothes. They prefigured in themselves the Virgin's incorrupt giving birth, for she, on receiving the fire of the Godhead within her womb, was not burned, but remained virgin, even as she was giving birth. Therefore the Church celebrates the three children in Daniel on this day, on the Sunday of the forefathers, and on the Sunday before the Nativity of Christ, since they prefigured proclaiming his incarnation. Furthermore, they were of the tribe of Judah, wherefore Christ sprang forth according to the flesh. The holy three children completed their lives full of days. As for the prophet Daniel, he lived until the reign of Cyrus, the king of Persia, whom he also petitioned that his nation be allowed to return to Jerusalem, that the temple be raised up again, and his request was granted. He reposed in peace, having lived about 88 years. His prophetical book, which is divided into 12 chapters, is ranked fourth among the greater prophets. Great are the accomplishments of faith. In the fountain of flame, the three holy youth rejoiced as though they were resting in waters. And the prophet Daniel showed himself to be a shepherd to the lions, as though they were sheep. Through their prayers, O Christ our God, save our souls. Since your pure and hallowed heart had been made pure by the Spirit, it became his dwelling place and the clearest prophecy's vessel. For you did behold things far off as near and present. And when cast into the den, you did muzzle the lions, for which cause, O blessed prophet, glorious Daniel, we all revere you in faith. Regarding St. Dionysius of Zakynthos, the Bishop of Egina was born in 1547 on the island of Zakynthos. Though born into a noble family, he was determined to flee the world and set his mind upon heavenly things. He entered the monastery of Strafava, and after the prescribed time, he was clothed in the angelic schema by the abbot. Though young in years, he surpassed many of his elders in virtues, and was found worthy of ordination to the holy priesthood. Although he protested his unworthiness, St. Dionysius was consecrated Bishop of Egina. In that office he never ceased to teach and admonish his flock, and many were drawn to him in order to profit from his wisdom. He feared the praise of men, lest he should fall into sin of vainglory, so he resigned his see and returned to Zakynthos. In 1579 the Diocese of Zakynthos was widowed. When a bishop dies, his diocese is described as widowed, and Dionysius agreed to care for it until a new bishop could be elected. Then he fled from the worldly life, which gave him no peace, and went to the monastery of the most holy Theotokos, Anaphonitria, 20 miles from the main village. A certain stranger murdered the saint's brother Constantine, an illustrious nobleman. Fearing his victim's relatives, the stranger, by chance or by God's will, sought refuge in the monastery where St. Dionysius was the abbot. When the saint asked the fugitive why he was so frightened, he confessed his sin and revealed the name of the man he had murdered, asking to be protected from the family's vengeance. St. Dionysius wept for his only brother, as was natural. Then he comforted the murderer and hid him, showing him great compassion and love. Soon the saint's relatives came to the monastery with a group of armed men and told him what had happened. He pretended to not know anything about it. After weeping with them and trying to console them, he sent them off in the wrong direction. Then he told the murderer that he was the brother of the man he had killed. According to tradition, this man, when he confessed his sin, confessed in the church, and St. Dionysius had on his table the lance that is used to cut the prospero and the blessing cross. And when the man confessed his brother's murder, St. Dionysius was given an opportunity, either slay his brother's killer with the lance, or to forgive him with the cross. And of course he chose the cross. There are other traditions say that the saint did not exactly lie to the people, but rather told them that he's not far. He's perhaps in another direction, when the man was actually under him. He admonished him as a father and brought him to repentance. After forgiving him, St. Dionysius brought him down to the shore and helped him to escape to another place in order to save his life. Because of the saint's Christ-like virtue, he was granted the gift of working miracles. There are certain other traditions that say that that man returned later to that monastery and became a monk. Having passed his life in holiness, St. Dionysius reached a great age, then departed to the Lord on December 17, 1624. Not only are the saint's relics incorrupt, but he is also one of Greece's walking saints. St. Erasmus and St. Spiridon are the others. He is said to leave his reliquary and walk about performing miracles for those who seek his aid. In fact, the soles of his slippers wear out and must be replaced with a new pair from time to time. The old slippers are cut up and the pieces are distributed to pilgrims. On August 24th, we celebrate the transfer of his holy relics. With the prayers of St. Dionysius, may Christ our God have mercy upon us and save us. The faithful son of Zakynthos, egging his wise prelate, the protector of the august monastery of Strophada, O wise Dionysius, with one voice we all the faithful honor you and cry, by your prayers save them that keep your memorial, and cry unto you sincerely. Glory to Christ who has glorified you. Glory to him who has made you wondrous. Glory to him who made you our unsleeping intercessor. On this day does Zakynthos call all the faithful together, rousing them to offer praise and songs and hymns of thanksgiving to our great and fervent helper in needs and sorrows, who does swiftly rescue them that are caught in perils. And she honors him, crying, O Dionysius, boast of the faithful, rejoice. From St. Paul's letter to the Colossians. Brethren, when Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you, fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry. On account of these, the wrath of God is coming upon the sons of disobedience. In these you once walked, when you lived in them, but now put them all away, anger, wrath, malice, slander, and foul talk from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old nature with its practices, and have put on the new nature, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its Creator. Here there cannot be Greek or Jew, circumcised and uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free man, but Christ is all and in all, meaning that we are part of a new creation. The new life that Christ has given us, we are to put away the old. And the old is about to be explored in this Gospel passage for the Gospel of the Sunday of the Forefathers. From the Gospel according to St. Luke, the Lord said this parable: A man once gave a great banquet and invited many. And at the time of the banquet, he sent his servants to say to those who had been invited, Come, for all is now ready. Now this heavenly banquet, this Eucharistic assembly, is a wedding feast. And it is meant to bring joy to everyone. Christ is the bridegroom, and he wants everyone to be in his party. But even though we've all been invited, freely invited, we sometimes make up excuses as to why we are not going to come. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said to him, I have bought a field, and I must go and see it. I pray you, have me excused. Now this might seem natural. Okay, he bought a field. He's got to inspect it. But this is telling us, as according to the Blessed Theophylact, that we are looking down at the ground. We are concerned about earthly matters. We care about the world and its riches and think to ourselves, I don't have time for paradise. I don't have time for Christ and his banquet. I need to concentrate on this world, this life. Another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen. I must go to examine them. Pray you have me excused. So the 5 yoke of oxen refer to the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, Moses. And these are the people that look so studiously at the letter of the law that they forget the spirit of the law. This is the Pharisaical way of looking at life. And we become so enraptured with these rules that we forget what the rules are actually pointing to. So what good is it to read a book if what the book is pertaining to you completely miss? And so this slavish following of the law is what will ultimately be the undoing, because we are not seeing what the law points to. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Now, this is not disparaging towards women. This is not saying that women are the source of a problem. It is the idea that you have married a foreign ideology, a foreign religion. We see this all the time, in which people will marry into something else and not realize that there are ramifications to this. And so we see this where people try to marry off and say, well, Buddhism and Christianity does not mix. Different philosophies, they do not mix with Christianity or with what Christ is trying to give us. And so people will, when they're not strong in their faith, they will gravitate towards these other ideas. Then the householder and the servant said and came and reported this to the master. And the householder in anger said to his servant, Go out quickly to the streets and the lanes of the city, and bring in the poor and maimed and blind and lame. So this is an analogy for people that have not been able to see God, they are blind. The people that have been wounded, they are maimed. People that are poor, that have not had opportunities. And the people that are lame, they're paralyzed, they're not able to move, that bring them to me. So as apostles, as disciples, we are supposed to bring these people to Christ. They are welcomed into the feast. The servant said, Sir, what you have commanded has been done, and there is still room. The master said, Go out to the highways and hedges. Now, why would people be in the highways and hedges? Why are they hanging out there? These are brigands. These are thieves. These are people that are looking to do evil. And compel the people to come in, that my house may be filled. In other words, we are to call out and try to redeem those who have been broken, those who are evil in their actions. We are supposed to call them into the feast as well. For I tell you, none of those men who were invited shall taste my banquet. For many are called, but few are chosen. So it is up to us to answer the call, to come to the wedding feast. And this is particularly important because when we look to Christmas, because this is the Sunday before Christmas, the Sunday of the forefathers, it is important for us to recognize that many times people will ignore that liturgy, Christ's liturgy, Christmas, Christ's Mass. And this is very, very sad. I liken it to a little boy at a birthday party where none of his friends have come to visit him. The greatest gift, that banquet, the liturgy of Christmas. Let us go and participate in that great banquet. Let us not make excuses on that day. Say, oh, I can't come to Christ on that day. No, let us go and enjoy of that heavenly banquet that has been prepared for us by Christ himself, our Lord and King. I hope that you've enjoyed today's Spiritual Calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.